everybody, CW here. Okay, we're back on the range. What a beautiful day we have. It's supposed to be 70 today. We got about 61 or so now, and it looks like light wind, so I hope we're gonna have a good day. What we got here today is another episode of Mama's Guns. This one here is her Savage 708, and I just put a new scope on it. You watched it in a previous video. This is the Nikko Stirling Diamond Long Range, and we had some troubles with it, but we're going to find out if it tracks, and as long as it tracks, it's going to be okay. We're going to find out here in just a few minutes. I've got to zero it, and then we're going to shoot some groups and see how it tracks. All right, take you along for the ride. I'm going to put you in speedy mode because what I'm doing is probably not overly interesting, and you can just come along for the ride in speedy mode. All right, I don't think I'm going to do any chronograph on this one. I don't need to. I know what the loads are doing. With the previous scope, this shot well under an inch with these 139 grain loads and with the 120 grain light recoil loads. But we got targets out there at 50 and 100, and we'll start at 50. Okay, we did pretty good. These 120 grain nozzlers shot better than the 139s, which surprised me because they both shot good, but the 139s shot really good. And the first three shots were like a 2.5 inch group. No good. But I think it just needed cooties because I did clean it. So, and the barrel's good and warm now. It needed cooties in the barrel, I think. So the last three shots were almost touching. So I'm going to shoot one more 120 grainer over the chronograph, and we'll get a reading on that. I'll reset you up looking at the chronograph. Hopefully I can zoom in enough to see that, and then we'll get down there and pull a target, and I'll show you, and we'll be done with this one. But the scope's okay. I was able to track it across. First couple shots I couldn't find the bullet holes, my own fault for whatever reason, but when I looked through the 60 power, I found them. They were just on the edge of blacks, edges of targets and things, and I just didn't see them. But once I found it, I dropped it in there. It hit about 1/2 inch high. I pulled it down a few clicks, went out to 100, and it was pretty good. I just adjusted just a few clicks, but it tracked fine, it moved fine. All I've got to do is reset the zeros, but I'll carefully do that at home. As much as I don't like to do that, I want to make sure that I don't strip this out any worse. And then I'm going to get a hold of Nikko Stirling. Hopefully I can buy this cover, this cap, because that's all it's wrong, just the cap. Shouldn't be too awful expensive. I showed you in the other video how it works. It's different than most scopes. It's actually a female thread on the cap instead of a male, and with the O-ring, the way it's designed, it's prone to that. So they got to have other people with the problem, so they got to be able to sell me that cap, I'm sure. All right, let's reset up and let's get it chronographed. Just the 120s. Hit the button. It looks like 2801 for a 120 grain bullet. It's a little slow, but that's fine. I don't need it to be screaming fast, and actually if I'm going to shoot deer with that bullet, I don't want it too fast because it's a pretty light bullet. Since I forgot to turn the camera on, let's do a 139 grain as well. Here's a 139 grain. That looks like 2715, so 2700 and a little more. Hopefully you can see that. Not sure. Let's ReZero this top one. We'll do it here on the range. So just like always, you just loosen this up here. This comes off. You can see there's an O-ring out here, and see what I mean about female? So it's got a stud. So then, oh, look at there. It is zeroed. Huh, just happened to be good. So this is where the other one is a problem. This one looks like it might be okay, and it'll pull itself down, but you got to make sure you push so you don't have any problems, because you got to get by that O-ring, and then it comes to a dead stop. This one here was the problem one, so we're going to pull it in, and then we're going to back off these threads, and then here's where the whole cap is going to come off, because we got to pop this out. This is the turret's in there, but this is part of the mechanism. So we're going to set it for 0 and then put this back on at 0. But you got to make sure you're all the way on. And then the threads inside here are the ones that are a little bit foobar. That's why I'm hoping I can just buy this, and I don't see why I couldn't, because the threads on here looked fine. So when we put this back on, we got to be careful, and we want to make sure that we're all the way on, because it's only going to catch by just a tiny bit, and we were able to get it. So pull it out, we can adjust, push it in, it locks. All right, we've got them re-zeroed, so we should be in good shape. All right, let's go look at targets. All right, here is the 708. This one here is the 120 grain, and that one there is the 140 grain, 139 grain. Now, explanations here. This is 2 different sight settings. So these 3 were one sight setting. I moved it over a few clicks and down, and that's the next 2. So combined, it's probably 1.5 inches, 1 5/8. But it's different sight settings. So those 2 on top of each other are the final sight setting. Those 3 in a group were the first sight setting. And then over here, we got 1, 2, 3 were the first 3. Now this was out of the cold barrel and a clean barrel. No, not clean, cold, because I shot it, sighted it in, let it cool, and then came out here. So not really fair, especially when I shoot the next 2 and they're right there. So I think this was the first, second, and third, or first, second, and third, but I know that was the last shot. And then I shot those 2 after it. So realistically, these probably would have come in and been into here with a fouled barrel properly. And this is about the wind I'm getting, which isn't bad. It's just a slight breeze. Usually it's to the left like that. Sometimes it's fully value right at me. Don't generally see it do that often. But there we go. Mommas 708 is sighted in. That Nikko Stirling scope is good. It tracks well, and I like it. God bless everybody. CW out.